I think going back to our city, I think our city helps us in ways that people look at us as a performers. People look at us like, what show are you in? You know what I mean? The straight community definitely, I think, and for whatever reason, it gets my foot in the door. I don't care. If I, being able to have that initial conversation, if you think I'm a performer, that's fine. You're going to you're going to realize pretty quickly that that's not what I'm about. But if that gets that initial conversation going, then I don't care whatever it is. For myself, I don't need to be in your face all the time. I think with the straight community, you need to tread that fine line, and that's for me. I know a lot of times I've been the one that stays back and talks to somebody, and I'm having a great conversation with somebody that probably wouldn't have otherwise talked to us, and I know that there's that certain level of uncomfortableness from them, and I have to keep on, with the friendliness and they will say keywords that are very offensive to us, just as a gay person, just as a human being, you know what I mean? And they'll say things, and I have to really kind of look past that, and I have to look at the fact that they're sitting here having a conversation with me. There's maybe some ignorance, and there's maybe some things that are going to offend me, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to point that out to them. I'm not here to offend them. I'm here to try to give them a message. I have maybe 5 minutes with this person, and I want them to leave and maybe be thinking about a positive aspect and not be left with negative, because they already have so much negative. I need to bring some positive into it, and that's how I look at those types of situations. When they just shut you down altogether, it's harder, to have that. And I just try to be friendly, and I try to, give a nice smile, and be, no matter what, I try to shower them with love, and I try to do it in a very non-confrontational, friendly way. I know when to turn the flirtiness on and off, and you definitely have to turn it off when you're doing something like that. You have to be much more subdued, and that's what I do. That's how I'm able to break through those lines at times. I think a really good example of that is last year at the Age Walk. After I was on rollerblades, and afterwards I was rolling around and having a good time. I had a bunch of friends in the crowds, and I remember the gay haters were out there, and they had their signs, and it's almost a little pathetic. Ours are kind of pathetic because they have like 2 people, and they're in a sea of like thousands of gay friendly or gay people, and so I can only imagine how intimidating that must be. I mean, they do their best to still portray the hate, but I know that they're a little bit scared. I would be. I mean, I couldn't think of being the only sister out in among all those people. You know what I mean? I would feel uncomfortable. So I try to put myself in their shoes, and I remember just having a good time with them. I was taking pictures with them. They weren't liking it, but I was taking pictures with them. I was giving them the love, and I remember. Like at one point, I was standing there with them trying to take a picture. I had somebody like taking the camera, and I was taking the pictures of myself, with them, and just having a good time with it, and telling them how much I love them, even though they hate me and all that kind of stuff. And people were throwing like beer bottles and water bottles and things like that at them, and I remember like almost getting offended for them, even though just because that's just rude to do as a person, you know what I mean? And I know that like I get it. They shouldn't be there, or they shouldn't be giving that message there. Like I get that they're in the wrong place to be doing that. Like I definitely get that that's going to bring out a reaction from that group of people. But I almost kind of felt for them for a moment, and I think that's what the sisters do at times, or some of us do at times, is that we really can we can walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, especially if we want them to walk a mile in our shoes. And I think the straight community sees that, and I think at times, especially the more open-minded straight community, they definitely get a certain kind of feeling from that, and they understand, and that's how I'm able to break through all the craziness that I'm portraying and have a real conversation with somebody, and have them kind of understand where I'm coming from. This was another kind of subset of the Las Vegas mission of sisters that Lucy that had a passion for, and I think all of us immediately subscribe to that same passion, because the fact that SADAP started is an offshoot of ADAP, Age Drug Assistance Program, and the Age Drug Assistance Program is federally funded, and there's a lot of red tape, and you really need to be. We don't feel that it affects the majority of our community. It affects a certain minority of our community that needs the help, but we don't know why the majority of our community was being ignored. And that's where SADAP, from my feelings, that's where SADAP was kind of born, is that, we're not going to get federal funding because we have to deal with that same, kind of bureaucracy that ADAP has to deal with. And it's wonderful that that program, that the government does fund a program. I'd rather that than nothing, honestly. But we needed to make something that worked more for our community. And that's where SADAP came about, because there's a lot of hardworking, middle-class people in our community that are struggling paying the medicines. They may have just been laid off from a job, but they still have a home that they're struggling to keep, or whatever the case might be. Those people should not necessarily be denied their medicine and their, their health care that, other people are getting. So that's where SADAP was born. Our red dress is something that we initially said when we started the order that we needed to have some big event that really grew into kind of a mainstay, because any of the other big organizations in town, AFAN, Golden Rainbow, they had that. And we were new, I think it was very, it was very intelligent for us to think about that, and looking down the road that we needed to have that foresight, but it was hard to get it going. And I think now we're starting to gain some traction, and we're starting to get some momentum from our red dress, and it could potentially be that that one fundraiser a year that we work towards that raises most of the money that we need for the year. And it's amazing that we could do that. And in the meantime, I think it's really amazing that we're raising all this money by doing bar crawls and doing different little fundraising at different bars. I mean, getting 1,000 here and 500 here, and our bingos and things like that. But I think in the same aspect, those have really given us a voice in the community, and really given us an opportunity to show people that we're going to throw a fun event, we're going to have a lot of fun. And I think it's amazing that we've been able to raise the money that we have and been able to affect as many people's lives as we have affected. And what I really like about SADAP too is that it's really about the disease, and it's about HIV and AIDS, and it doesn't have a color to it, it doesn't have a sexual preference to it, nothing. A lot of our clients are straight, some of them are gay, some of them are transgendered, whatever the case might be. But I was amazed at how many straight people we have in our program. And I think that it's an amazing thing that we're really looking at the disease. And I think it goes back to our original kind of philosophies, you know what I mean? We don't have any stigmatic guilt with it, you know what I mean? Whether you're gay, straight, whatever, you're going to get help from us, and that's what a nun would do, you know what I mean? A nun would help you in any way that they could help you, and that's exactly what we're doing. And I think that SADAP really encapsulates everything that we are and what we do and who we want to be. And I think that it's going to be something that's going to live way past all of us, and I love that. I love that we're creating a really great legacy in this order. If we were to find a cure for AIDS tomorrow, we'd be celebrating for quite a while, I think, as the sisters. And, I'd feel a lot of, a big amount of joy personally, and, with the sisters, about, feeling like we had something to do with all that, all the money that we raised, all the people that we've helped keep, healthy for longer than maybe, they would have without medicine and all that kind of stuff. I think that, when we finally find a cure, that's an amazing thing. But I don't think that there's still not a need in our community for something. We would look at the troubled teens, or the parts of our community that really need help. I mean, if we could give, over $250,000 in the past 2 years with SADAP, then what could we do if we applied that to something else? If we, help put on a housing unit, or help grow our gay lesbian center, or help, you know what I mean? There's so many things that could be still done in our community, that I think it would be a lot of fun to see where the sisters could affect, where they could be helped in other areas of our community. And I think that's what we would do, is start to take on, okay, one thing was cured, great, so what else do we need to do now? What other needs are there in our community that we can affect a change with? And I think that's what I would have a lot of fun figuring out, because we're pretty set in our mission, we're pretty set in our goals right now, and we're just kind of going full force with that. So if that was to change and we were to have to figure out something else, it would almost be back to the drawing boards, because I don't think that there would not be a need for the sisters. I don't think that we would ever go away. We would just shift focuses and see what we needed to do at that point to help our community, because that's what we do.